Good day, everyone. I am Aliana Milpay Dasalia.
I am Erlin Bayabaya,
And we are the Passionate Teachers. So today we are going to talk about psychological, philosophical, and historical sociological needs of why we have this in considerations of teaching children with special needs.
Oh, what are those?
So today we are going to talk about Piaget and Lev Vygotsky's cognitive development and why they are related to each other and why we have to consider this. So, Ms. Erlene, you're going to talk about Piaget's cognitive development.
Piaget's theory of cognitive development explains how a child constructs a mental model of the world. He disagreed with the idea that intelligence was fixed trait and regarded cognitive development as a process which occurs due to biological maturation and interaction with the environment. Piaget was employed at the Bennett Institute in the 1920s rather, where his job was to develop French versions of questions and English intelligence tests. He became intrigued with the reasons children give for their wrong answers to the question that required logical thinking. He believed that these incorrect answers revealed important differences between the thinking of adults and children. There are three basic components to Piaget cognitive theory, which are the schemas, adaptation process, and stages of cognitive development. Schemas imagine what it would be like if you did not have a mental model of your world. It would mean that you would not be able to make so much use of information from your past experience or to plan future actions. Second is the adaptation process. Adaptation process to the world. This happens through assimilation. This happens when the existing schema does not work and need to be changed to deal with a new object or situation. Second is the accommodation. Accommodation, this happens when the existing schema does not work or and needs rather to be changed to deal with a new object or situation. The third is the equilibration. This is the force which moves development along. Piaget believed that cognitive development did not progress at steady rate, but rather in leaps and bounds. These are the four stages of cognitive development, which is the sensory motor stage. The main achievement during this stage is object permanence, knowing that an object still exists even if it is hidden. Next is the pre-operational stage. During this stage, young children can think about things symbolically. This is the ability to make one thing, a word, or an object stand for something other than itself.
How about the third one, Erdine?
The third one is the concrete operational stage. Piaget considered the concrete stage a major turning point in the child's cognitive development because it marks the beginning of logical or operational thought. The fourth one is the formal operational stage. The formal operational stage begins at approximately stage 11 and lasts into adulthood. During this time, people develop the ability to think about abstract concepts and logically test hypotheses. So those are the theory of Piaget about the cognitive development.
Yes, and now I am going to talk about Vygotsky's scaffolding. So, Vygotsky's scaffolding is a method of teaching that helps learners understand educational content by working with an educator or someone who has a better understanding of the material. So, we also call them the more knowledgeable other. The concept states students learn more when working with people who have a broader scope of knowledge than student learning the content. The educators or students teaching the learners scaffold the material in smaller chunks so the learner can expand their understanding of the material more than they would on their own. So Vygotsky's scaffolding began when other theories applied his theory, called the zone of proximal development or also known as the ZPD, in the classroom. So ZPD concentrates on what a learner can do by themselves versus what they can do with the help of someone else. You may visualize ZPD as a series of three concentric circles. The smallest circle represents what the students can learn on their own. The circle surrounding the smaller one describes the skills a student can do with the help of an educator. The largest circle represents skills that the students can't do yet, even with the help of others. So, we are going to talk about how does it work in an educational setting. Vygotsky scaffolding, commonly referred to as scaffolding, is a process used in the classroom in which a teacher or capable students helps a student within their ZPD. When the learner and teacher begin working together, the teacher models most of the work, explaining how and why they do things to help the learner comprehend the content. As the learner becomes more comfortable with the material, the systems of the educator lessens and the learner does more of the work on their own. The scaffolding continues to decrease until the student has mastered the content and no longer needs any scaffolding. So, in addition to disagreeing on the functional significance of private speech, Piaget and Vygotsky also have different theoretical prediction in development significance of private speech. For Piaget represents an inability to take the perspective of another and therefore to engage in truly relational and reciprocal communication. While Vygotsky suggests that it represents externalized thought, its function is to communicate with the self for the purpose of self-guidance and self-direction. In course of development, Piaget suggests that it declines monotonically with age, while Vygotsky, it has a curvilinear increasing at the younger ages but gradually decreasing as it loses its audible quality and becomes eternal thought. Influence of environment, context, and task difficulty. For Vygotsky, increases with task difficulty, the greater effort needed to reach a solution necessitates the action regulating role of private speech, while Piaget has no comment on that. So, again, those are the psychological consideration according to Lev Vygotsky and Piaget.
That would be all. Thank
And
you.
yes, thank you for listening.